Simone's mother-in-law slid glossy photographs across Big Mama's good mahogany table, the one with the plastic runner nobody was supposed to touch. While Darius been working himself to death, she been running round Atlanta with different men. The whole family circled like vultures at Sunday dinner. His side chick sat right there, bold as hell, while they tried to paint me as the cheater. Child, they had no idea those men were the 3 best divorce lawyers in Georgia, and I had 11 years of receipts. Lorraine's voice cracked with that practice church lady disappointment, the kind she used when Sister Jenkins wore white after Labor Day. Her fingers trembled as she picked up each photo like they were evidence of my damnation. The scent of her Jean Nate perfume mixed with the collard greens simmering in the kitchen made my stomach turn. Amanda stood behind Darius with her hand on his shoulder, standing way too close, her manicured nails digging into his suit jacket. Gerald shifted in his seat, uncomfortable but silent as always, more worried about what the folks at First Light would say than the truth. Jasmine sat across from me, bronze skin glowing, thinking she'd won something. The Sunday roast nobody had touched was getting cold, grease congealing on Big Mama's good china. My heart pounded in my chest, but my hand stayed steady on my sweet tea glass. I'd learned long ago that panic was a luxury I couldn't afford, not in corporate boardrooms, and definitely not in this Buckhead mansion that smelled like Fabuloso and lies. But to understand how I ended up at this table, watching my marriage get executed over pot roast and potato salad, you gotta go back 11 months. Back when I still believed in this family, back when I thought love could survive in a house built on respectability, politics, and old money. I was Simone Hayes, 35 years old, Senior Compliance Officer at Peachtree Financial Group. I spent my days making sure million-dollar deals didn't violate federal regulations, catching what other folks missed in the fine print. My coworkers called me the Bloodhound, because I could smell fraud 3 contracts away. I'd grown up on the South Side, raised by my grandmother after my mama passed, learning to code switch before I knew what the term meant. By the time I met Darius at a corporate mixer in Buckhead, I'd mastered the art of speaking corporate in board meetings and going full South Side at the family cookout. He'd seemed different then, before his family's money and influence convinced him he was untouchable. We married at First Light megachurch, me in my grandmother's pearls, him in a custom suit that cost more than my first car. 11 years of Sunday dinners at Lorraine's, 11 years of Amanda's passive-aggressive comments about my humble background, 11 years of pretending I didn't notice how they pronounced my name wrong on purpose, saying Simone instead of Simone. The night everything changed, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning to Darius's phone buzzing on the nightstand. The screen lit up our bedroom like a warning sign. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, baby," with 3 heart emojis. My silk bonnet was still tied tight, my body still warm from sleep, but suddenly I felt cold all over. Darius was snoring next to me, his fresh fade pressed into the pillow, completely unbothered. I could have woken him right then, could have thrown his phone at his head like my Auntie Shay did when Uncle Marcus got caught stepping out. But something my grandmother used to say whispered through my mind. "Baby, when folks show you who they are, don't get loud, get smart." I took a photo of that text with my own phone, then another of the contact name, Jasmine with a flower emoji. Then I went to the bathroom, sat on the edge of the tub, and let myself shake for exactly 5 minutes. After that, I got smart. The next morning, while Darius rushed out the door claiming early meetings, I called James Morrison's office. James had helped my sorority sister Keisha take her trifling husband for everything, including his mama's good silverware. His receptionist said he had an opening that Thursday at Pont City Market, somewhere public, somewhere bright. I showed up in my Navy work suit, the one I wore when I had to deliver bad news to executives who thought they were too important for consequences. James Morrison was a mahogany-skinned brother in his 50s with silver at his temples and reading glasses that made him look like somebody's favorite professor. He ordered coffee and got straight to business. "Georgia's an equitable distribution state," he said, pulling up documents on his tablet. 11 years of marriage? You're entitled to half of everything, including his stake in the family business. I felt something shift in my chest when he said that number, 11 years. I'd given this family 11 years of Sunday dinners, 11 years of code switching through their bougie functions, 11 years of building Darius up while his family tried to make me feel small. James walked me through asset discovery, explaining how to spot hidden transfers in shell companies. "Watch for unusual activity," he warned. "Cheaters get sloppy, but families with money get calculated. That word, calculated, stuck with me as I left that meeting. Over the next month, I met with 3 more attorneys. Michael Turner, who specialized in infidelity cases, and William Parker, whose firm handled complex asset fraud. Each meeting was in broad daylight, at restaurants with windows facing the street, at cafes with outdoor seating. I dressed well, smiled warmly, took notes in my leather portfolio. If someone was watching, they'd see exactly what I wanted them to see: a woman having professional lunches. What they wouldn't see was me building a fortress of legal protection while they thought they were building a trap. My spirit had been telling me something was wrong for months. The way Amanda started asking about our financial arrangements at Thanksgiving, the way Gerald kept pushing Darius to sign routine paperwork, the way Lorraine suddenly wanted to know if I'd been networking lately. 2 months into my lawyer meetings, I noticed the pattern. Properties that had both our names were suddenly getting transferred to companies I'd never heard of. Hayes Holdings LLC, Peachtree Property Group, Buckhead Investments. Darius had me signing things, claiming they were just updates to our estate planning. But something about the timing felt wrong. I started making copies of everything before signing, storing documents in a safe deposit box at a bank across town. Then I found the text thread on his iPad that he'd forgotten to lock. Messages between Darius and Amanda going back 3 months. Right around the time that first "can't wait to see you" text came through. "We need to move fast before she catches on," Amanda had written. "The country girl act is just that, an act. She's smarter than she looks." Darius replied, "Already handled. Once we get the Cascade property transferred and the offshore account set up, she won't have proof of anything. Then I can move Jasmine into the picture without worrying about losing half." My hand shook so hard reading those words that I almost dropped the iPad. They weren't just covering for his affair. They were systematically stealing from me, erasing my name from assets I'd helped build, preparing to leave me with nothing. The betrayal burned worse than any affair because it confirmed what I'd always suspected. His family never saw me as one of them, just as someone temporarily allowed at the table. The final piece fell into place when I ran into Jasmine at Lenox Mall 3 weeks before that Sunday dinner. She was looking at engagement rings, running her fingers over diamonds she couldn't afford on a junior marketing manager's salary. I could have kept walking, could have let her live in her fantasy, but my grandmother always said God sends you the help you need in unexpected packages. "Those are beautiful," I said, watching her jump. We both knew who I was. Darius wasn't that careful. I bought her coffee, sat her down, and showed her what I'd found. The text thread between Darius and Amanda, specifically the part where he called her, "The side piece I'll handle once the money's secure." I watched Jasmine's bronze face go through every emotion: shock, anger, humiliation, rage. "He said he was leaving you," she whispered. "He said you were the problem." I pulled up more messages, ones where he'd said the same things about his previous girlfriend, the same pattern of promises and disposal. "Record him," I told her. "Next time he talks about me or the divorce plans, record everything." She agreed faster than I expected, her hand shaking as she saved my number. Sunday dinner was 5 days away when Gerald called Darius, asking him to bring Sophie. They never could get my name right for a family meeting. I knew what was coming. Amanda had hired someone to follow me, probably hoping to find an affair to match Darius's, something to justify their theft. Instead, they'd photographed me meeting with my legal team, and now they thought they had ammunition. I pressed my silk dress that Saturday night, the burgundy one that made my bronze skin glow, laid out my grandmother's pearls, and set my alarm for Sunday morning church service at 9:30. If they wanted to execute me at Sunday dinner, I'd show up looking like resurrection. The photographs kept sliding across that mahogany table, each one a testament to Amanda's expensive private investigator. Pont City Market, showing me leaning forward in conversation with James Morrison. Midtown Restaurant, me laughing with Michael Turner over documents. West End Cafe, me shaking hands with William Parker. Lorraine's voice dripped with that syrupy venom she'd perfected over 63 years. "Sophie, how could you do this to our family?" But this time when she said that name wrong, something in me snapped into perfect clarity. I wasn't the scared girl from the South Side anymore, trying to earn her place at their table. I was the woman who'd spent 5 months building a legal fortress while they built a house of cards. I reached into my purse slowly, watching everyone tense, probably expecting tears or desperate explanations. Instead, I pulled out my tablet, its screen reflecting the chandelier light above us. "These men," I said, my voice steady and clear, no code switching, pure Southside confidence, "are the 3 best divorce attorneys in Georgia." The silence that followed tasted like Sunday morning communion wine, bitter and holy. "That's James Morrison," I continued, pointing to each photo methodically. "He specializes in high-asset divorces. This is Michael Turner. Handles infidelity cases. And William Parker? He's particularly good at cases involving fraud and hidden assets." I watched Amanda's face drain of color, watched Gerald shift in his expensive chair, watched Darius finally look at me with something like fear in his eyes. "Y'all thought I was too country to notice?" I activated my tablet, pulling up documents I'd had my lawyers prepare. "Thought I was too busy trying to fit in to see you stealing from me?" I showed them the timeline. Every property transfer, every shell company, every offshore account. All documented, all time-stamped, all illegal. "Georgia's real particular about fraudulent asset transfers during divorce proceedings," I said, channeling every ounce of compliance training I had. Then I played the recording, Jasmine's phone picking up Darius and Amanda's conversation crystal clear. "Once the money's hidden, that gold digger gets nothing." Lorraine actually gasped, clutching her pearls like they could save her. But I wasn't done. This was my signature move, the one they'd never see coming. "Here's what else is interesting," I said, pulling up documents from my own company. "As Senior Compliance Officer at Peachtree Financial, I'm required to report suspicious financial activity. These shell companies you created? They've been flagged for potential money laundering. The IRS is very interested in Hayes Holdings LLC." That's when Gerald stood up, his comfortable world crumbling. "You reported us to the IRS?" His voice cracked on the last word. "No," I smiled thin. "I simply filed my compliance report, same as I do every day at work. What they do with that information isn't up to me." The next 2 weeks were chaos. Lawyers and federal investigators, emergency family meetings I wasn't invited to, desperate calls and texts I archived without reading. Darius signed the settlement in that same conference room where I'd planned my escape, his hands shaking as he gave me $1.6 million, the Cascade House, and my freedom. Amanda lost her CFO position, ended up working at some strip mall accounting office. Lorraine's social standing never recovered. Turns out fraud charges make for real uncomfortable prayer circles. 6 months later, I stood on my new Midtown balcony, watching Atlanta's sunset paint the sky orange and purple, sipping sweet tea from a glass I'd bought myself with my own money. My new company, Hayes Consulting Group, I kept that name out of pure pettiness, was helping its 15th client navigate her divorce. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting better, getting smart, and watching karma do exactly what your grandmother promised it would. I raised my glass to the setting sun, finally free from a family that taught me the most valuable lesson. Never underestimate a woman from the South Side who knows how to play the long game. They thought they were calculated. Baby, I wrote the formula. If this message touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment to let me know you're out there. Tell me where you're watching from. We're building a community here where your story becomes someone else's survival guide. We share the pain and the wins so that the next person knows the way out. Keep your circle tight, protect your energy at all costs, and always remember that you are the architect of your own fate. Every choice counts, so make 'em wise. Much love.